he might have less backup strats in his back pocket too. So that's the other thing that you might want to worry about with each of the guys is as they get going, what they know and what they have in their mind if something goes wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like we're underway here with both runners going bright first, which is a good route to go. Really easy, safe route to go. You'll see a lot of runners do Pharaoh first, where Pharaoh will save about 6 seconds all around, but you really got to have good movement. But I prefer bright first myself. I think 2 out of the top 3 runners in the world record leaderboards went bright first. So Becco and Ohan both have a good showing in bright first, so it's a really good, valuable route.
Yeah, I believe for the just to mention the Cossack Cup, I believe Becco, Ohan, and Prizzy all do bright first. They were 3 of the top 4 runners in the Cossack Cup. So it's definitely it's a little bit of a time loss, but it is by no means insurmountable.
6-second time difference between the routes, but honestly, like when you're in a race-like setting, the consistency is the name of the game, and I think the bright first route offers something that the Pharaoh first route can't, and that is a little bit more consistency. So it makes a lot of sense, especially for a lot of the runners who kind of just picked up the game specifically for these tournaments. It makes a lot of sense that they're running the bright first route.
Yeah, definitely a lot safer, but you do have that RNG factor with those grasshoppers and a little bit of lag with those totem poles. And, the more things that are on screen at one time, the more lag you get. So the name of the game is to really reduce a lot of that lag as much as you can.
Alright, so we're heading into the bright battle. Of course, they're going to bust her bright down. Just one thing they have to be careful about is if you do get bright on the unfortunate trajectory of 16, 8, or 4 HP, he will flash the screen and you'll be sitting there frozen while he does whatever he wants for 5 seconds. So, not as much of an issue necessarily with the buster, but if you are just a little bit off with your charge shots or something like that, it can be an issue.
Both runners doing a really good job of bright fight and getting that center pixel lined up.
Yeah, that center pixel is something to keep an eye on throughout the 8 Robot Masters stages. If the runners can be perfectly positioned in the center, there's a magic pixel that will save about half a second to a second for the animation, where instead of Mega Man jumping all the way up and then sitting in the center of the screen to absorb the enemy's energy, he'll just teleport right up to the top and fall right back down, and that saves a little bit of time each stage, so that can add up over the course of the 8 robots.
Indeed it can, and now you're going to see this bright weapon here, the Flash Stopper, be used where you can essentially, oh no, resisting frame, missing the balloon gap jump, that's going to cost him.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate mistake. So yeah, as you can see on Waiter's screen, he's going to be getting the balloon here, which is very valuable throughout the course of the run. Say you're probably looking at like around 30-35 seconds or so of time lost just by not having that balloon over the course of the entire run. So it's a very significant thing. And if you even see like on Waiter's screen, like by the time he gets to the checkpoint room, he's even ahead of Resisting Frame, even like, at that extra room. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Resisting Frame does, because, I believe Resisting Frame is one of the newer Mega Man 4 runners, so I'm not sure how familiar he is with just not having Balloon.
Yeah, doing a balloonless route beforehand actually is going to help you out, because you want to learn those backup strats, and you're right, I don't know if Resisting Frame knows about any backups, because he is fairly new. So it'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, I think optimally, I think that the time loss is somewhere around 15 to 20. I see Barron's just pointed out it's about 15 seconds, but that's if you know all the backups and hit them perfectly. So yeah, a 30 to 35 second time loss is probably pretty reasonable to assume. It's going to mean that in certain places, Resisting Frame's probably going to use or he's going to use Flash Stopper a little more. Or we'll see a little more Rush Jet. So, be interesting to see how he handles this. This is a little bit of adversity very early on in the first run.
Mm-hmm. We're really coming up to the first usage of it in the next stage in Ring, so we'll see what he decides to do there.
Yeah, this is where you're going to see that first difference in strats here with balloon and without balloon in this ring climb. You'll see Waiter pop a balloon inside the wall here on this vertical, on this screen right here, or on the next screen, I mean, excuse me, the next screen. And you have about, 10 frames to jump off the hitbox of that balloon while it's inside a wall when it despawns?
Yeah, I think it's about 10 to 12 frames. So it's a pretty large window when you start talking about tricks in a Mega Man game. So once you get the timing down, it's not especially hard, but it's nice to be able to do, because being able to spawn that balloon in the wall prevents the balloon from instead of spawning, it just disappears immediately, and it cuts down on the lag, because the balloons create quite a bit of lag when they're on screen.
That they can.
Interesting that Resistingframe just swapped right over to Flash Stopper immediately. I actually like the play a lot. Flash Stopper is a very powerful weapon that you're going to see a lot of usage throughout the rest of the robot stages. But surprisingly, there is none of that normally in the Ring stage, so it was a good swap by him.
He's taken kind of an interesting route. Switched to Bright immediately, utilized that to get through that first climb, and only switched to Pharaoh once he was dealing with the first Ring mini-boss there. And instead of electing to take a damage boost, which I believe is what Waiter did, actually elected to fight it at a little bit of a range, which saves health, which is definitely not a bad decision in a race setting. You can see Waiter's getting into the boss here. He only has 4 health. He can't take a hit from anything in this room.
Meanwhile, this frame will be able to take a hit if he takes an accidental damage here, so that is really nice.
Yeah, the good thing about the Ringman fight is there's no RNG to him. He does the exact same thing every time, so it's really kind of easy to predict and easy to get him down without taking a hit. But sometimes he can reach out and grab you. You're not careful with your slides, but both runners did a really good job.
Very nice fight from both runners.
Now we're going to be heading into Dust, which I think is one of the more difficult stages in the run. There's a lot of choke points, especially in the first and second screens. Just have to be super careful.
Yeah, you can use Pharaoh here or Flash Stopper. It looks like Waiter's going to opt to use a Pharaoh, which is more riskier, but a lot faster, because you can kind of get things off screen a lot faster.
Yeah, the advantage for Pharaoh here against Bright is that because you can angle your shots with Pharaoh, you can kill more of these ladybugs on this lag screen here, and that eases the amount of lag that you have to deal with. Bright, it's a little tougher to kill these enemies, so you're spending a little more time with them on screen at all. So that leads to this sequence. You can even just see, like, in the comparison, how much faster Waiter was able to get through there than Resistingframe, because the enemies dropped ammo, etc., and it just slowed everything down.
Yeah, I would definitely say that the Flash Stopper is a little bit easier to handle on that screen than the Pharaoh, so definitely think that's a reasonable choice to make for a lot of...
Absolutely, especially in a situation like this. I think that you go with what you're comfortable with, but definitely Bright. As long as you know where everything spawns, it's pretty easy to make sure that you're on top of the enemies as they come onto screen. You can try to shoot them before they really fully spawn.
You're going to Dustman's fight. He sucks both literally and figuratively, but you can stop him from doing that suck animation by taking a body shot to him. But you can't take too many, because if you take if you take 3, you're pretty much on the verge of death. So
Yeah, it's 8 damage a hit, and generally speaking, you're coming into this fight with not full health.
Right.
So, at best 2, at worst 1. Actually, I'd say at worst 0. So, yeah, it could be a little bit of a struggle if he sucks and you're just like super low on health.
Yeah,
One of the- Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's one of the major RNG choke points of this game is that Dustman can elect to suck and then just eat time. If you don't have the health to be able to take damage there, it just eats into your time.
Skullman stage, you see the first and only zip in this run where you can take iframes and cut through that wall. Resistingframe's not going to be able to do it, so that's where you're going to see a little bit more of a gap in the run here, because that does save a significant amount of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of just usage of balloon throughout the first half of this stage that Resistingframe's just not going to have access to. It's not really too big of a deal, I feel like, after the zip. It's just all about, I guess, kind of improvising, because, yeah, I don't know how much experience he has in not doing this, or doing this area without the balloon.
And he could have opted to use flash strats throughout the whole stage, and he would have had plenty of flash ammo. Bright ammo, sorry, excuse me. He would have had enough bright ammo to make it throughout the whole stage if he would have done it, used the flash stopper at the beginning too. It was kind of a different option you could have done.
Yeah, that's something though that if you haven't seen a balloonless runner, you're not as familiar with it. You might not realize that you really are only using flash stopper here on this stage twice if your movement's good. So you don't quite realize just how much extra you have,
Right.
in this stage. So he might have been worried about that, and rather than run out, just elect to use the Mega Buster through the first area there, which isn't a bad play either. If he's comfortable, that's definitely the way to go, given the situation he's in.
It's like Waiter had a really bad luck with getting a long shield from Skullman. Really, he can give you a short shield or medium or a really long one. It looked like Waiter got a really long one. It looked like Resisting got a kind of short one too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're around 8 different patterns, if I'm not mistaken. There's more than 3 patterns. And yeah, I'm pretty sure the one he got was the longest one. It was not good.
I believe the longest one is about 4 seconds. So that's just one of the many time losses that bosses can just decide to inflict on your run if they so choose.
Nice underwater strats here. You can't jump out of your slide. So, be interesting to see if Resistingframe goes for some of those Mega Man 6 slide cancels.
Yeah, Resistingframe's a pretty seasoned Mega Man 6 runner. We saw one right there, so definitely going for a few extra frames of sliding to try to run Waiter down here. Start to see a little bit more of the power of the flash stopper, basically letting our runners here semi-skip these mid bosses here. What they do is as this mid boss teleports in, they can fire the flash stopper, and it prevents the whale from doing any attacks or doing anything. So you can utilize that for to just mash them down and move on to the next screen. It's a pretty effective way of handling what can be a pretty annoying mini boss if you've never fought it with just the Mega Buster. It can be a little unpleasant.
That Resistingframe, playing it very safe, making sure he didn't accidentally fall in that pit. That pit is not actually a pit. It takes you to the wire. Nobody wants the wire in this run, so we're good.
Waiter did a nice job of getting Dive Man killed right in the center. It sets him up for that that fanfare skip. Beautiful. That saves about 2 seconds overall. That's really going to come in handy.
Yeah, that requires two things. That requires both the correct horizontal pixel positioning and the correct vertical pixel positioning. So it's truly pixel perfect. It's a little easier to get on Dive Man's stage, but either way, it does save a good bit of time.
It looked like Resisting just missed the center pixels, so that's a big opportunity of time getting lost right there.
A little bit low in health towards the end of the fight, so I had to play it a little bit safe. But you know, there's still plenty of that going to happen. Much more to go.
This Mega Man 4 game is a cool mistress. It can turn on a dime real quick.
Waiter having some trouble with this bat room. I think plenty of runners have had bad experiences with that bat room. Either getting hit when they don't intend to, or expecting to get hit and sliding off into spikes. That's an unpleasant room.
Yeah, so there's this turret room there. If those turrets drop a small drop or a big drop or any drop, actually, it just really hurts you because you kind of want to get through there as fast as possible, and getting those drops can potentially lead to death because those spikes down below if you're not careful.
So what we're coming up, what Resisting Frame is coming up on here, and what Waiter is in room now is a very long sequence, and this is a great room to kind of show off how Flash Stopper's a little broken. When you're sliding, the Flash Stopper's counter doesn't decrease. So as long as you're sliding, you can keep a time stop. You can keep time stopped indefinitely. So if your movement is really good, you can get from one end of that room all the way to the other without the Flash Stopper running out. So it's a good gauge of how well the players are moving at a given time, and that leads us into one of the more RNG heavy bosses in Mega Man 4.
Clutch kill by Waiter. He only had one dive there, but he only had 1 HP left too, so I was a little worried for him. Oh no.
The last dive. That's very unfortunate. He happened, Resistingframe happened to miss like one shot, and that was the difference maker. Normally in the pattern that he got, you should be able to kill him without giving an additional dive, but just a little bit off. It's really hard to aim your dive missiles properly, let me tell you, because they just don't cooperate, no matter what you try to do.
Now, Toadman's stage is deceptively hard because the boss fight itself is fairly easy, but the stage, there's just a lot of places that can just ruin your run. You know, that with this rain pushing you back and the waterfall section, it's just a lot of areas that could just potentially ruin you a good pace.
Absolutely. This is definitely a stage. Playing this casually. This is a common first boss casually because Toadman isn't especially difficult, but this stage is very treacherous, and trying to do it fast is equally so. We luckily get out of Waiter's now out of probably the two scariest rooms in the stage, and Resisting Frames onto the this waterfall room that is incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, getting a drop by those rats, and especially in the first part of that waterfall section, can just mean instant death for you, because that drop will just drop you straight down into a pit.
Alright, so it looks like Waiter is able to successfully navigate this stage, and his reward is a 3-second boss. She cares how long it takes now.
Yeah, Toadman is not an especially difficult boss. He has an attack that will hit the entire screen, but as long as you are shooting at him and hitting him, he won't ever fire it. So you just have to make sure you're always doing damage and have no problems.
Sub 19.8 robos for Waiter is very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, even with the balloon mistake by Resisting Frame, he's got a pretty good pace as well, so both solid times for the runners.
Yeah, these are both these runs have been pretty good so far, with the exception of missing the balloon. Resisting Frame is really hung in there. We'll see how much that really comes up here is in Cossack 1 and 2 are probably the two most balloon-heavy stages. They're very balloon-heavy stages, especially compared to most of the 8 robots. So we'll see just how much that comes back and how much Waiter is able to capitalize on it.
I mean, you really won't see much of balloon in the later part of this game, except for Cossack 1 and 2 here. And you're right, we'll see what kind of advantage Waiter can get from having the balloons, whereas Resisting not being able to use them here.
I do want to point out neither of our runners elected to pick up the free tank that is at the start of Cossack 1. It's just on the left side as you teleport in. If you just slide over, it's right there. It's a free tank. It's right there if you want it, and neither of our runners did. So it's they're feeling confident.
It's a bold move, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for him. Waiter doing a nice little strat here with those ladders. Oh no, Resisting taking a death there at that Cossack or the Skull Alley with those ice physics, trying to get that despawn to work, but couldn't get it.
I can't help but wonder if that was just the lack of the balloon there. It wasn't
maybe.
quite stopping there to jump to the next section.
Yeah, maybe he was just so used to having balloons, he was gonna try doing that, but oh, okay, there we go. We made it that time, though.
That's one place where you have to wonder if his Mega Man 6 experience didn't actually hurt him a little bit. Given that it certainly seemed like he was trying to do a slide cancel to help despawn that Skull Joe, and it came back to bite him there, and that's different games with slightly different physics behaving in just slightly different ways. That looks like it might have caught him.
That's
First test passed for RF. He was able to navigate through the climb with the brush jet, so that was good. I liked it.
And he's rewarded with a fight against Mothraia, which is a fun intersection of two very small hitboxes, the ring and the blinking red light.
Yeah, unfortunately, Waiter took a death in the spike room in Cossack 2. That's going to open the door for Resistingframe here. And it's going to leave Waiter with a little bit low on balloon. He's going to have to take this ammo refill.
With the refill, he should be okay. Might be a little bit low later on, but at least for this screen, he'll be fine. So he can like ad-lib the rest.
You got to be really careful when you're doing those spike slides with iframes, because you can run out and you know, take a death in those spikes. It just happens, you know. Oh no.
His health is not in good shape right now.
Yeah, he's running dangerously low. He's gonna have to take this. Oh, he's got a juice box. There we go. Okay,
he got off Eddie.
There we go. That helps. That's gonna help him a lot.
I guess that's why he didn't take the free tank. He already had an extra free tank.
Nice.
Eddie hooked him up, so that's good for him. That Cossack 2 is a stage where you can definitely find yourself in a very precarious situation from a health standpoint. So it's nice that he was that he had that in his back pocket, was able to put that to good use there.
Yeah, very very good. You see the difference with balloon strats here with Resistingframe, just getting knocked off the spike blocks here into an unwanted screen transition. It's gonna have to play this one really carefully.
Yeah, I would argue that this is probably one of the most difficult segments of having to do this sequence without balloons. It's just really tight from a rush jet movement perspective. Trying to jump, it's just really tough.
Oh no, resist! That's unfortunate. Yeah, and you can kind of tell. You know, I know as a Mega Man 4 runner myself, you know, you're at this point you're starting to get stressed out. You're starting to get a little bit on tilt because you don't know exactly what you need to do to traverse this area, and you're just getting frustrated with yourself. And let's see if you can power through here though, because that checkpoint room was also the next room above. So you see, and start all the way at the beginning. So. just really unfortunate for RF here.
Yeah, that's a really punishing death. All just about any death that you can have in the castles is going to be punishing. There are the most of the checkpoints are pretty far away, and there's no checkpointing for the individual bosses. So if you end up with if you die, for instance, on a boss, you are transported back to the middle of the stage checkpoint, which is very, very punishing. So you don't want to die in the castles.
There we go. All right, good job, RF, getting past there.
And you see Waiter in Kazakh 3, there's everybody's favorite auto-scroller. There's really not much you can do to kind of go through here fast, and you just kind of have to be at the mercy of the auto-scroll, but you can reduce some on-screen lag by getting a lot of those enemies off-screen as soon as they appear, so...
He switched to Ring and refilled that. Ring ends up being a very important weapon late in the game. It's the weakness for quite a few of the bosses in the late game, so if you can have full ammo for it, that's all the better. So
yeah, it's good to see Resisting making it through to Square Machine now. Gets a 2 on the first cycle, so that's encouraging. You know, he can give you a 3, a 2, or a 1. That's just how many passes he goes through the screen before he warms up. It looks like he's got a 2-3, which is a 3-2, 2-3 is probably what the most common pattern, wouldn't you say?
You know, it's funny you mentioned, because actually before this race started tonight, I actually sat down and I did the math, and because I was curious as to what the most common was, and the most common actually is a 3-2. You'd get that about 40% of the time.
Well, we are treated to a 2-3-3 this time around, because unfortunately RF missed a few shots. It could be a little bit tricky to get the proper shots that you need to kill Square Machine on the second pattern. Unfortunately, once you take a little bit of a hit in the wrong direction, you miss one shot, it kind of becomes a lot more difficult, so I had to take a third cycle there.
It's like Waiter missed 2 shots for the price of 1 opportunity on the cockroach fight. So he may opt to take this Pharaoh refill in Cossack 4, which is a smart move in a tournament setting. You know, you want to end the run with, you know, feeling comfortable with your Pharaoh shot, because ultimately that's going to come in handy in the later part of this run. And your ammo does not refill each stage in the Cossack stages, so you're going to have to do some ammo management here.
Yeah, ammo management is super tight throughout the Cossack and Wily stages. It's actually interesting. The majority of the Cossack and Wily bosses are weak to ring or dust in some form, but you can't have ring or dust for all, 6 bosses. So you do have to kind of be careful with how you manage your ammo throughout the stage, and it is really tight. And there's honestly an even tighter ammo route, if you can even believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy. The tournaments have kind of inspired a little bit of more rerouting, or somewhat rerouting on the fly. And one of the things that's come up is that it's possible to save a few menus if you can be perfect against all of the bosses basically and never miss a shot. You can save yourself some menus, and that's the level of perfection that's required at the highest levels for this game, is that you can't miss.
Yeah, but who here besides Fatso and Chilney can really do that?
Yeah, I think that it's something Prizzy's been doing every time he nails the Mothra fight, and it's something to see. I'll tell you what, it's crazy. I'm sitting there biting my nails the whole time.
Prizzy is a madman at this game. I watched his run with Beko earlier, and that was an amazing match, just all the way through. And speaking of which, Prizzy is going to be going into the finals of the Cossack Cup, featuring Ohan. So he will be facing Prizzy and Ohan for final.
Yeah, here's Kalinka, the namesake of the Kalinka Cup. we get the big reveal. It was Dr. Wily all along. It's always this guy with his eyebrows.
Bitch.
Resistingframe missed a Pharaoh shot, unfortunately, so I'll take an extra one there. He may have to get a safety refill as well. Totally up to him. Pharaoh ammo is quite important because the last boss of the game, the Wily Capsule, is weak to Pharaoh, and by the time you get to him, you're pretty low on it if you don't take an extra refill. And running out is pretty disastrous, so you don't want to do that.
Yeah, because those caterpillars in that last Wily stage just do not like giving ammo refills. So if you decide to farm for ammo, you could be there literally all day long trying to get the ammo drop you need.
Yeah, you'll never be able to convince me that they're not programmed to drop ammo at a different rate than the rest of the game. You'll never be able to make me believe that.
I agree.
Sounds like you have some horror stories to report on.
Oh yeah.
Waiter's in the Mets stage, so let's go Mets. This is every enemy I think in this stage is a Met.
Except for one.
Yep. Looks like RF grabbed an extra E-tank there in Cossack 4. It's just the cost of an extra drill, so elected to have that. It's probably a good idea coming up. The big thing he wants to avoid now is he can't take any more deaths, so having some extra health is definitely going to be helpful for him if he gets into a tight spot later on.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but with the Cossack catcher, when you're sliding, the Cossack catcher won't move left or right. He'll only go up and down. So you could kind of manipulate his position a little bit by doing some slides here.
Yeah, your slide basically stops him from moving. So if you just constantly keep yourself sliding, he'll eventually kind of you can basically keep him in one spot and just smack him with charged up buster shots.
Vader getting through Met Daddy really well. He can be a pain sometimes. Trust me, I know. I hurt just watching the fight. It brings back nightmares.
Yeah, Metal Daddy's another place where there's quite a bit of RNG that you can deal with, depending upon the type of pattern that he gives you. You can end up with a 3 or a 4 cycle fight, and you ideally want to have a 3 cycle if you can help it, but sometimes it can be very tough to get those shots in.
Yeah, you want to get 4 shots in, 3 to 4 shots in on each cycle, but you can sneak in 5 shots if you're really lucky.
Yeah, in an ideal, you can always hit 4, I believe, but the longer cycles allow for up to 6, and he takes a total of 14 hits. So if you get 1 6 and 2 4s, you're okay. But if you get a long and 2 shorts and you missed one of your shots, that can lead you to take an extra cycle. So that can be tough.
Yeah, it's kind of the downside to going for that extra shot is you are going to lose ammo if you end up just being a little bit off. And it is a super precise thing to get that extra shot, whether it's the 5th shot on a short cycle or the 6th shot on a longer cycle. So it's one of those trade-offs where you have to make the decision on. I think most players doing the route that both of our competitors are doing will opt to go for that, but like for the more calculated, more riskier route, it's kind of one of those things where it can be really difficult.
You see an interesting thing that Waiter does jumping into this room against Taco Trash. Jumps into the room and fires a rain flush that immediately fills Taco Trash's health and allows him to start fighting immediately. And then he uses the drill bomb to break the enemy's hurt box so that he can stand inside Taco Trash and then just beat him with ring, which is Taco Trash's weakness. That boss, if you fight him without doing that, is definitely non-trivial. He can be very dangerous, tough to hit, and doing it that way makes a relatively difficult boss pretty trivial.
Resisting really giving me a heart attack there with that midday finish, because he kind of went a little weird direction there, and he was almost caught inside of Met Daddy before his iframes ran out, and it could have spelled a death for him, but he was able to sneak through him just barely.
Just trying to keep you on the edge of your seat,
Right? And Waiter took a safety E-tank there, which is smart. I like to do that in a race setting myself, just because Wily Machine can be a pain, but can run low on health, and it's nice to have that safety E-tank there.
Yeah, Waiter took some extra ring ammo, and he refilled his dust quite a bit higher than you really need. It looks like he was, I'm not sure if he's watching Resistingframe, but if he is, he's probably thinking it's like the thing I can't do is make a terrible mistake now. So I need to make sure I have plenty of ammo and that I have plenty of health. And that certainly seems to be his what he's doing now. He's making sure he's not going to run out of anything.
Agreed. Yeah, that's smart gameplay on his part.
I mean, even if he takes a death, he's still more than likely going to be ahead. The only real thing at this point is you take a death, you have no ammo left to use, you take a death on Wily Capsule, then, you're in a situation where you may not have enough ammo to finish that fight, and that means you probably have to take a game over, so those are really the major things he's concerned about at this point, and the rest is, unless he dies 5 times, he should be fine.
Yeah, utilizing Mega Man 4 is, I think, a lot of fun in the refights because you actually get to use a lot of soft weaknesses. We saw Dust being used against Pharaoh. It deals 2 damage. We use Skull against Brightman. That also deals 2 damage. We use Rain Flush here against Drillman because it does 1 damage, but the dive missiles only do 3. So you hit him 9 times, that does 27 damage. He has 28 health. So you take out that 1 pesky extra health with the Rain Flush. It's there's a lot of stuff like that in the refights for 4 that I really think is neat.
And Drillman just being a troll for Waiter here, dove twice already. Here he goes.
It's alright, Waiter's just getting the bad luck out of the way now. So for his next game, he get the best luck.
Right.
Let's see here. We get another rendezvous with Toadman, who is again not very difficult. This ring fight's a little different than the first time around because you can't bring a charged Pharaoh shot into the refight chamber, so you have to hit him with two small uncharged shots to balance that out. So that's a interesting minor change that you have to accommodate in the refights compared to the initial fight.
See what kind of Dustman Waiter gets here. Man, just a sucky Dustman so far. Oh wow.
Very uncooperative. You have to be really careful with the dust fight here because obviously you have a boss fight right after this, which is no walk in the park. You do have to be cognizant of your health in this fight, so you can only do this so many times in the dust fight before you have to just take.
Yeah, ideally, with both Drill and Dustman, if the closer you are, the less likely they are to do the things you don't want them to do. And so if you're basically right on top of Dustman, he's far less likely to elect to suck. So you have to be it's scary to be that close, but it's the safer thing to do if you're trying to save time, but it's a little tough.
Nicely done by Waiter there. That's good refights by Waiter. Except for that Dustman being trolly. Dust and Drill being a little trolly, but other than that, really good refights.
Alright, so we're coming to the final stage, the Wily Capsule. And yeah, Pharaoh, that's the weakness. Don't run out.
Get some double shots here. Maybe really depends on Capsule himself. Let's see what kind of luck Waiter gets as far as positioning is concerned. I love Waiter's movement through that corridor. That was beautiful.
I was just gonna say that his movement in that corridor is very, very nice. It's very clean.
Yeah. Ooh, bad spot.
Shot, that's alright. He's got a lot of ammo. It would take a lot of shots missed or a death for him to run out of ammo. Normally you have probably half of what he has now coming to the fight.
Missing some double shot opportunities here, but still, like you said, he's got plenty of ammo. And then he finishes at 40-29. Not bad. That's really good. GG's, Waiter.
GG. Really solid time, you know, considering his PB is 39.52. Being, you know, less than 40 seconds off your PB in a race is always good.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's a really good job. Wow, Resisting finishing up his refights here.
Resistingframe also looks like he topped off his Pharaoh. Wanted to make sure that wasn't going to be an issue for him either. He's got plenty of ammo for that coming out of that ring fight. So let's see what kind of pattern Dust gives RF here. It looks like he's being pretty friendly here.
There you go.
Man, resisting there.
A little bit low on the health here, but he does have an E-tank, so worst case scenario, if he has to use it, I'm sure he will.
Let's hope he remembers to use it. There's some times where I forget that I, not paying attention to my health and just trying to get him down real quick, and next thing I know, I'm dead.
I can relate.
So he's cognitive of his health here. Oh no! Wow.
So we opted not to use the drill strat. So using the drill at the end there will cause, I guess it causes lag, and that's what causes the health refill to just kind of skip. But he put the extra ring hit in there to let the health refill all the way. So might have just been an oversight on his part. I'm sure he's familiar with the strat. Yeah,
it looked like the rebound on the ring boomerang, the boomerang action hit the machine, and that was what did that last bit of damage. That doesn't look like it was intentional. Ideally, the way that works is that you'll switch to drill when the first phase only has 1 HP left, and the drill hitting that will do 1 damage, and then the explosion will do damage to phase 2. And that's what causes it to fill up immediately, and it also stores that first damage value. So then when you use your next drill on phase 2 of the machine, you'll actually do 8 damage instead of just 4. Which is a real long way of saying it's much faster to do it that way if you can.
Alright, here we go. Frame dropping into his capsule fight. Get your G's ready. Getting some good placement here, but missing some double shot opportunities.
There's one.
There we go. Got him there. GG's.
GG.
GG. 43-28.
Now this is a best of 3, right?
Correct.
Thought. So
Waiter has won the first game, but this is not over yet.
Still anybody's match. That's a very good job by both runners there. Resistingframe really, had a little bit of trouble because he missed those balloons, but he made it through fairly decently. Did a really good job for a balloonless run.
Yeah, I think you gotta. I mean, you really can look at that as the one thing that held him back in that run is that not having balloon in Cossack 2 is probably the biggest, the biggest difference in the race. The second block room with the rotating spike blocks, it just wreaked havoc on him, and he was not able to get through it in a clean manner. And honestly, if he'd had his balloons there, you have to think that room goes a lot better, and that this race ends up being quite a bit closer. So let's hope for good good use here with balloon for everybody, and we get to maybe see a little closer race in round 2 here.
Yeah, let's hope Resisting can make that jump, because man, that is a rough point in your run when you miss that. I mean, it's instant reset, but for me, but during regular PB attempts. But man, when you're in a tournament setting, nothing hurts more than missing that balloon jump, I'd say.
And it's worth pointing out that it's a pretty tight jump too. It's just about as long a distance as Mega Man can jump. Without the use of any other additional, without like rush coil or rush jet or anything like that. It's about as far as you can go. So it's tight. Definitely scary.
So, what are you guys' predictions for the remainder of this matchups? You think we're going to see 3 matches, or you think Waiter's going to pull out another victory?
I mean, I want to see a game 3, so I'm biased.
I'm rooting for game 3 for sure.
Yeah,
I can't go wrong with more Mega Man 4.
Right. I'm saying this, right? You can't go wrong with more Mega Man. So I'm voting also for game 3.
Yeah, so we do apologize. It doesn't look like we're gonna be able to have a showing on screen who has the game advantage right now, but it is Waiter took the first game, so Waiter has the 1-0 advantage, and it is a best of 3. So we'll just try to update the audience whenever we can, and yeah, it looks like things are just about ready to go for game 2.
Sweet.
You have to wonder actually if it's going to change how either of the runners are going to play in round 2 in the situation they're in now. Resistingframe facing a deficit and Waiter with the advantage. Does Waiter look at that and say, okay, I know that at the worst I get to a third match, I get a rubber match. Do I want to take things a little more careful? Do I make sure I get certain strats? Do I take my time a little more? Or does he play it like normal, or does Resistingframe say, I can't hold anything back, I gotta make sure I win this because this is it, it's win or go home?
Right, and those anxiety levels really, Resistingframe's going to be on a little bit more of an edge, whereas Waiter, I think, may feel a little bit more relaxed. I would think, but I mean, I don't know.
It's actually interesting both ways if you think about it. I think one of the biggest things about speedrunning is being in like your comfort zone, right? Like being in like just a state of mind where like you feel like you're used to what you're doing, you feel comfortable with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So really, if you think about it both ways, whether it's because you're on edge because you feel like you need to do something like special to catch up, or like you feel like you're comfortable because you're in the lead, both of them kind of have like it takes you out of that comfort zone. So it may cause you to do things you may not do normally, and that could spell disaster when it comes to speedrunning. So we'll see.
Indeed.
Yeah, even doing something that is quote unquote easier, if you're not familiar with it, you can still mess that up, and you might have been better off going for the thing that's more difficult, but you're just more familiar with, and that's the kind of push and pull that you have with a little bit of that's the psychology that you get into here when you're talking about a race and when you have a best of 3 and you're ahead or behind.
I thought Waiter was going to go for that charge shot hit on that first fly, And that's a very tricky move because if you miss and you take a hit from that first fly, you can land in that pit. But he stopped right at the ledge and just took a safe strat and just killed him. He worried me there for a minute. I didn't know what he was gonna do.
Yeah, that Firefly has definitely ended plenty of my runs. I take him a little safer these days.
It's a charge, missed 2 charge shots. Uh-oh. Opens the door for a frame here.
Pretty good kills from both runners.
Yeah, just a couple seconds apart from each other. Not too terrible. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's you know you got the first stage of the second run out of the way. Should be feeling pretty good and pretty locked in now. And we'll see how this goes for both runners. You know, this is the scary stage now after what happened. So
Yeah.
let's root for balloons. Or for both of them to miss it, I guess. That would be fine too. I mean,
Sure.
whatever. I'm not particular. I just wanted to be fair.
Yeah, if they both miss balloon, they have to go for wire. Oh, but they make it.
All
Nice.
All right,
There
we're
we
good.
go.
We're good.
Really nicely done by both runners. They're really almost in sync right now. They're pretty closely together.
Yeah, the sync is real right now.
So, at what point in this run do you guys really sit back and kind of relax and say, "Okay, I've gotten through this part. Now I can kind of say I've got this." You know, which part do you think is kind of a breather room for you?
I mean, for me, honestly, I'd say that the game's pretty reset heavy for RTA attempts in the first 4 stages. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in Bright, Pharaoh, Ring, and Dust. And once I get out of Dust, I usually take a little bit of a breather, for sure. And then it's pretty smooth sailing, I think, until Cossack usually, and then some of those stages are a little rough there. How about you, Darkman?
I'm gonna go with Wily 4.
Nice. You know, I agree with you, man. I like to take a little bit of a breather after I get out of the Dustman stage, and then, you know, kind of get back on my edge of my seat and come Cossack Wily stages, you know. But
Yeah, definitely. No, I do agree with that. I think Dust is, once you get past that, it definitely feels a little bit better. Not that it's a cakewalk, of course, afterwards, but I do feel like the starting 4 is kind of like a different animal in this game.
right.
Yeah, there's just a lot of opportunity in the first 4 stages for things to go wrong. And it's not even big things necessarily, but it's stuff that you have to react to and change how you're playing. Like for example, in this, you know, in Ringman here, this initial climb when you're using the balloons, it's very easy to get sniped or to just, you know, be off on one of your jumps with the balloon a little bit and take extra damage. And the routing is so tight in Ringman that taking extra damage can be the difference between being able to do all the good fast strats that you want to do and having to wait a few extra seconds to take damage in a different way. So it's definitely a little bit of a push and pull there. Like you can see, you know, Waiter has a little bit more health right now than Resistingframe, and that's going to come into play a little later. He's going to be able to, unless RF gets a health drop, I don't think that RF will be able to take the fast strat against these weird slinky looking dudes that throw shots out at you. He takes a safer strat there anyways, which I think is a smart thing to do. But Waiter definitely just goes for all of those. He takes all the deboosts in this stage.
Yeah, and he's spent so much time in the practice round just grinding out these rooms. So I think he has more of a comfortability factor. Like he's more comfortable with taking less damage here in Ringman's stage because he's kind of grinded out so much that he's pretty familiar with the run. So
yeah, that's something we haven't talked about. Is that Waiter's sum of best is actually quite. I would argue that Waiter's sum of best is better than his PB indicates his time should be.
right.
And that can definitely happen. That you don't necessarily put the run you want to put together, and so that's always a possibility here. Is a Waiter could just blow up and drop like a low 39 on us, and it would not be that surprising, at least not to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think Waiter is a 38 runner, if with potential of being a 37 one day. Like I think he's really grinded this game out intensely. And he could very well just get that one run that just drops him down to that 38,
Oh, for sure. And Resisting Frame's newer to the game for sure, but we've seen what he's been able to do in Mega Man 6, which is a pretty difficult game in and of its own, right? In terms of the sheer number of inputs and how precise you have to be in it. So, he's certainly capable of a very excellent time too. So, again, it's definitely a lot of fun to watch both of these runners. They're doing different strats, and yet they're really not that far apart. It's just really a matter of comfort. It's very interesting to watch how that's kind of unfolding.
Yeah, just to show just how awesome Resisting Frame is at adapting to a new run like this, because like you said, he hasn't been in running forward very long, and he's already in the finals of the Kalinka Cup. That's pretty amazing,
Absolutely.
Runners in the Kalinka Cup have been running for a long time.
It's been really cool to see the Kalinka Cup, just seeing how the competitors have kind of grown throughout the course of the tournament. For those who didn't watch the first portion of the tournament,
Ouch.
Fortunately, RF taking a death there. But yeah, for those who didn't see the first half of the tournaments, we have two different tournaments running, the Cossack Cup and the Kalinka Cup. And we had 55 entrants, approximately, originally. And they had heats to determine who would be the top 32. So the top 32 moved on to the Cossack Cup, and then the rest of the competitors, if they wanted to, went into the Kalinka Cup. So those are the runners who are playing the Kalinka Cup. But just because they're the bottom 20 so runners or whatever, doesn't mean they're not skilled in their own right. And it's been really cool to see them kind of improve. I mean, like Waiter right here. Waiter is a sub 40 time, which is very, very respectable in this game. So it is not for the fact that they're lacking in skill that they're in this tournament.
Exactly. Yeah, taking a death in those crusher rooms, it's crushing.
Oh, did not know that.
It's bad in multiple ways too. Like not only are you literally squished, but if you want to use ring in going back through that, it's very difficult. You're basically going to run out, and then you have to fight dust with a buster, or you have to go through the crusher with the buster. Neither of which is a particularly good scenario. You don't really like either of those.
Right.
Speaking of which, how did RF have no ring ammo?
Because he used it in the crusher section again, and I think he ran out. He just wasted a lot of shots trying to clear out those dust crushers, but
It do be like that sometimes.
it'll happen. Yeah, it'll happen.
That's why I said is getting out of dust is such a big thing, because that crusher still gets me every now and again. I'd like to say it doesn't, but it sure does.
Yeah.
Waiter has to be careful with health here. Might be going for the safety drops at the end, assuming he doesn't take an accidental hit in this last screen.
And that's something to be aware of. But he's just gonna go for it. Wow.
Go for it.
I mean, Skull is a scripted pattern. I don't know if I really mentioned this earlier, but Skullman pattern is entirely dictated by what you do, with the exception of the shield. If you just sit there at the beginning and do nothing, Skullman will also do nothing. So, you know, the players can basically adapt a strat to how they want it to be. And yeah, so as long as things go how they should, then in theory you won't take a hit.
It's a perfect fight by Waiter. Got the God Shield just on and off screen real fast, like, and just beautiful, beautiful Skullman fight there.
Definitely a very nice fight. And get RF is you know, not really that far behind. You know, he had his trouble in Dustman stage with the Crusher, but in all honesty, you know, he's really not that far behind. There's definitely enough randomness in the game that you know, he can start to make his way back even without you know, a major mistake from Waiter here. Waiter using a strat there where a lot of people slide into that Met and you know, take damage, but what he elected to do there was to kill a fish and jump over. It was pretty it's a nice little bit of time save.
Fortunately, RF taking a death there. That is the peril of the skull fight.
Yeah.
While it is 100% repeatable and executable, sometimes you're just a little bit off, and then suddenly things are different.
And I don't know about you, but I know it feels like every time I mess up the skull fight, the very next time after I've died to it, I'll come in and I'll do it perfect and take no damage. And that's how it always goes. So you know, it's just like the your subconscious being like, see, you can do this. Look at that. So yeah, it would have been nice the first time.
Yeah. So, like, pretty solid stage by Waiter there, Dive Man, and seem to run into any glaring issues. Honestly, I feel like so far it's just consistency is the name of the game for Waiter. He's not doing you know, anything super flashy, but at the same time, he's just playing solid Mega Man 4 right now.
Yeah, and I think he's really kind of found his groove, I think, and he's really fallen into a really nice safe run. And for his, you know, this is his run right now. And he got that center pixel skip and fanfare skip. That's awesome. It's gonna save some time there. But yeah, I think Waiter's in a nice groove right now. Really should feel really good right now with this run.
RF
sure.
doing some slide cancels there underwater. You know, putting his Mega Man 6 experience to use. It's not exactly the same, but it's close. You know, if you're comfortable with them, they don't feel quite as weird in Mega Man 4 as they do. They feel a little different, but they're not. If you're used to it from 6, you can get used to it in 4 pretty quick.
Ooh, frame. Ouch. That's unfortunate.
It's rough. Sometimes it's just not your day.
Yeah, he's gonna be careful too. He's close to game overing, also, isn't he? Like, he's died 3 times now, or
Ooh.
Twice. He's 0 lives.
Yeah, 0 lives. Okay, so he's gonna have to be really careful.
Whew. I was worried he was going to take a trip down to the. I thought we were going down to the wire. And,
No, we're not.
Not today. Only Mello and Ahmad get to do that. Wire strats, you know.
It's like one of those mutual agreements, you know. You don't. One person doesn't accidentally go in there. No, both of them have to go in there.
see how much diving Drillman does. That first one is scripted. You can't avoid it, so we don't count that one. So far, Waiter's had one dive.
Got 2.
2.
Gonna keep uncooperating here. What do we got? Alright, we're good, I think. Or
Ooh,
not.
3. Ouch. Man, Drillman just trolling Waiter.
Yeah, that's one of the pitfalls of this game is that every time that Drillman decides to bury himself underground, it costs you about 4 seconds. So even if you've been on great pace, and something like that happens, like right there, Waiter just lost 12 seconds versus if he'd had a no dive pattern. So that's a significant time difference over the course of over a run.
It's interesting thinking about RNG in this game because while there are, there's a decent amount of RNG in this game. It's really not like the worst when you think about classic Mega Man's. The reason why everybody just like remembers it or thinks about it so much is because the RNG is very centered on like major points. Like you're talking about Drill Dive, you're talking about like Square Man, you're talking about the refights. Like those are very major points in the run. So it's not really like little things throughout the course of the run, but just rather a few big points.
Yeah, it feels like the luck is very much concentrated in very few situations, and it's a lot easier to remember when it's concentrated in all of like 5 places, as opposed to spread much more evenly throughout the game.
Right.
I don't think we mentioned in the first race. Waiter here is in Toadman stage, and he's using Flash Stopper to deboost through an enemy that isn't there. Those snails are a mini boss, and we just don't fight them because we can freeze them on screen and save ourselves the hassle. So.
Another solid 8 robos for Waiter. You're probably looking at another sub 19 kill for sure.
Yeah, doesn't let not gonna let Toad dance and call down the rain.
1843 kill. It's great.
That's really good. That's about the same time he did in the first race too, wasn't it? Yeah, he exited about right around the same time.
Yeah, I think he's about 10 seconds faster than his last run, but I mean 1855, 1853, somewhere in that neighborhood. I mean that's a pretty solid 8 robos. That's a good pace.
Dare I say he might be on PB pace?
Yeah,
I already said it. So, yeah.
Yeah, this is usually when you start getting the 3-3 square machine, and the game just decides that it's gonna try to put everything in your path to slow you down. So let's see what we get from for both runners, I guess, because I think it was pointed out that I'm pretty sure RF got God drill pattern, so Drill's trying to help him out.
Better to be lucky than good, as they say.
I know all too well about that.
Waiter had a little bit of difficulty with those mono rollers there.
Little roly-polies can be pain sometimes, but not too terrible. Looks like Waiter took a little bit of stumbling block there in the skull alley there, but was able to get through no problem. Got the despawn, nice.
I think he heard that I said he might be on PB pace, so now he's nervous.
Right.
Never mind the fact that he's using splits on his stream. Don't worry about that.
Got a couple minor missteps here, but nothing too damaging.
He is a little bit low in health, and I don't think one thing we didn't really mention is when you're in the Cossack and Wily stages, dying in there is extremely punishing because, of course, obviously any death is rough, but there are no boss door checkpoints in the Wily and Cossack stages. If you die, you get sent back all the way to the last checkpoint in the stage, which for some stages can be extremely nasty, Wily 1 included.
Mm-hmm.
I think the absolute worst death in the game is to die to the twin cockroaches in Cossack 3. I think that costs about 1.5 minutes.
It's punishing.
But I think that every boss fight in the Cossack stage, with the exception of Cossack himself, is about 45 seconds to a minute loss. They're extremely punishing. Strangely enough, the Cossack catcher boss, the checkpoint is literally right outside. It's the room right before the Cossack catcher, so that's the one boss death in the in Mega Man 4 that is not terrible in the castles.
Waiter's navigating the spike room pretty well. I mean, it's just the constant thing in this stage that you're gonna be low on health. There's just so much deboosting going on. You're gonna end up going to Square Machine, generally like 8-10 health, something like that, which gives you enough room for one deboost at least. So we have like 12 health, which is great. But yeah, you don't really get a whole lot of room for error against the Square Machine. I mean, you know, generally you're not going to be taking more than one hit off of it, but you know, you never know. Sometimes you can just be a little bit off.
Yeah, and it's definitely a scary fight. Again, any of the boss fights is scary in the castles, and you actually saw one of the strats that Waiter used there. He actually saved himself a little bit of damage in the block room with the spikes that spin. He elected to jump over the buzzsaw and jump in between two blocks so that he could save himself a hit there, give himself a little bit more health, which, you know, if you can do it, that's a good idea. And that was that a one pass we just saw?
That was a one pass.
The ever elusive one pass. Wow. Nice.
I remember watching the Ohon and the Prissy and the Becco match, and I'm pretty sure every single game was like a 3-3, or it was very close to 3-3s. It was just not, Square Machine was not cooperating this morning, so I like to see a one pass every now and then.
Yeah, that was either a 3-1 or a 2-1, so that was a nice, you know, that's
Pretty sure that was a 2-1.
That was a 2-1. That's say that is an 8% chance, I believe, according to my math. Which I do want to point out that the Square Machine, when RF gets to the Square Machine, everybody should take a quick look at it, and you'll notice that it has 8 sides, which just really bothers me that we call it Square Machine.
When nothing square about Square Machine.
Octagon Machine?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the official name. You gotta call it by the official name. The lore. Respect the lore, alright?
Octobox, yeah, there you go.
Hey, I'm just saying, I learned my shapes when I was in kindergarten, so, you know, I'm not sure what Dr. Wiley's problem is.
Wait, you learned something in kindergarten? I thought it was just nap time and juice boxes.
Woohoo! Waiter, that was pretty lucky for Waiter there. He actually got the kill on that enemy with the boomerang property of the ring, not on the initial shot. So, whew, that was scary.
It looks like Resistingframe got 3 shots on the first cycle, so he's gonna have to get 5 shots on this second cycle to optimize his time here.
Definitely doable, but it is tight, and if you're trying to avoid taking damage,
Ooh, he got it, nice.
Yeah, I have to get 4 shots. It's only 7 shots total, and you can get as much as 6, depending on, you know, if you're just really good and also
Did I say,
set yourself up properly.
did I say 5?
5 is,
I meant 4.
Yeah,
My bad.
5 is definitely the more attainable goal for a lot of runners, and 4 is, you know, nothing awful.
I was just testing you. You did good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you.
I'm being told that boomerang on that shot was intentional by Waiter. So that's a cool little strat. I hadn't seen him do that before. I really like that. It looks really cool and dangerous, but definitely neat to see.
I think I seen Prissy do that earlier in his runs.
Unfortunately, hit the twin cockroach a little bit early with his charge shot there. It didn't do the full damage, so I had to fire an extra shot, but no big deal.
Yeah, so now the question is does he want to?
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh no!
Yeah, I hate to see it.
Frame. It looked like a dropped-in jump input there. He just fell straight down into the pit. Ah, that's bad. That's one thing you hate to see is the Cossack 3 death because it's just so punishing on time.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so... I don't know what it is about the stage, but there's just... I feel like there's just so many, like, points where it's just like... I don't want to call them choke points, but it's just like... I'm just like... I don't understand how it happens. Like, I'm not blaming RF, of course. Like, it happens to all of us. And I just, like, don't understand why this stage gives us so much fits.
Yeah, I think we were talking before we went on the air, but you can't be a Mega Man 4 if you don't have some terrible horror story about the time you died in Cossack 3. Like, it just happens to everybody.
Right. Yeah, I myself have died to the spikes on the twin cockroaches so many times. It's not even funny.
Oh yeah, you'll get caught. It happens.
Interesting Waiter opted to skip the E-Tank in the Cossack 4 stage. I wonder if he's watching the stream, because I mean, if he's watching the stream, then obviously he knows where he stands, and there's no reason not to get it. So my other hypothesis is, here's my hypothesis, he's watching the stream, but he's on PB pace, so therefore he doesn't want to pick up the E-Tank and lose time. That's my theory.
Yeah, he may be opting to just keep up with his PB attempt here, you know. May take a safety E-Tank like he did in last run in refights, though. Once again, we find out Wily is behind this whole dastardly event.
Notice the eyebrows that are behind the event, not Wily.
Oh, that's where all his power derives, is his eyebrows.
RF showing off. It does a little bit of a moonwalk there. That's a fun little trick that you can do totally free in there. Is you can hold left as you walk into these twin cockroaches, and Mega Man will moonwalk in to this fight.
Yeah, if you really want to blow your friends' minds, jump and hold left, and you'll moonwalk in midair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice little chill.
who knew that Mega Man was also a tremendous dancer? I had no idea.
He's one for showboating. I know that.
So something we didn't really mention with the Wily 1 stages, on top of the whole Met theme, which is really cute. I think it's one of the more interesting stages in terms of movement. There's a lot of little things, especially in the Scream Waiter, was just that. Just being a little bit off on your slides, a little bit off on your shots, and you're probably going to take a lot of hits. So there's not really a ton of choke points necessarily on this stage, but it's just the movement. You know, it really like tests your movement throughout the entirety of the stage, and I really like it.
Now you get this little brief underwater section that you can do. That you have to deal with the water physics where you can't jump out of your slides anymore. You have these sequences where we get to see Rush Jet, and we use those to skip some Yoku blocks. It is a really neat stage that really does give you a lot of opportunity for clean movement, and it's not just being really clean with your slides. There's also it's also about making sure you're walking just the right number of pixels so that you can do all of these clean shots and jumps right in a row.
I think only 3 shots he hit there, so
I think so.
Is not a good thing, but health is kind of an issue.
Health is a little low here, but he should be alright as long as he doesn't get hit by Met Daddy again.
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna play it safe. Make sure he gets that hit, not take any damage from those little Mets.
Nicely done. Meanwhile, Frame finding out that Wily's behind everything.
No, it's not Wily. It's Wily's eyebrows. That
Oh
was
yeah,
that.
that's right.
That's the canon. Those are eyebrows you just can't trust. Let's be real.
It's true.
So did Sigma inherit Wily's eyebrows, or like where does his power derive from?
Hard-hitting questions. I don't know if we'll ever know the answer to that.
So, fun things about this stage is we spend most of the time on Rush Jet, and what's cool about that is that a lot of the movement in this stage is kind of based around spawning Rush Jet and then having him not really get in the way or cause any lag, so that we can just use the regular Buster to mash down enemies. So, for example, you saw Waiter shot Rush off to the side, and I'll do the same here. So that Rush isn't technically on screen, but while Rush is teleporting, you can mash regular shots. So you do that to save time. A little trouble with the menu there. But what we should see here is, again, using this trick with the rain flush, where you can fire it off as you enter, and it immediately refills the health on Taco Trash, so that you don't have to deal with the interminable health fill in this game.
And Taco down.
Alright, 2 more stages to go for Waiter, and then he is the champion.
The champion.
Kalinka Cup. That's right. But more importantly, maybe he's on PvPs. So if I'm doing the quick math in my head, I'm pretty sure he is.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit ahead for sure. Grabbing a little bit of extra health and some extra ammo. Making sure he's full up on dust, it looks like. Not going to let Pharaoh or Skullman derail him for sure.
Yeah, I'd say for a player of Waiter's splits, like his PB, I'd say he's probably aiming for something like a 435, 440, 445, 450, something in like that range for the refights. So we'll see how he does here.
I think we mentioned about some of the soft weaknesses. The reason why we use Dust here against Pharaoh is that it does 2 damage each shot, and it's actually faster to fight him this way than with the regular Mega Buster, or to use the charge shots, because you have to wait for them to charge, and when you go through the math, it's just faster to fight Pharaoh Man with Dust. So a lot of little optimizations that occur in these refights that make these refights a lot of fun to play, I think.
Oh, I have a little bit of trouble in the bat room here with Frame. It's a little trick there where when you get hit, Rush just teleports to your location to kind of save you. Nice using that there to kind of get over there.
Yeah, that room can be really frustrating if you don't get Rush sorted out. When you land in there, it can be very, very tough.
Alright, so Waiter's moving on to drill here. So far, so good. Health is good. During the refights...
Oh, no! Wow. Wow.
Unfortunate. I don't even know where the checkpoint is. Oh, it's a game mode!
No!
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's unfortunate. You hate to see that. Ugh. Ouch.
Waiter have to be a little bit careful there, but managing to get it done. Looks like, yeah, he should be fine, and he'll be going to Toad next, so shouldn't be taking any damage here, so his health should be fine.
And that's just unfortunate death from Frame there, man. Just barely on the edge of Taco's hitbox. Getting hit.
Yeah,
Sucks.
literally just a pixel or two in and wasn't able to unpause and fire the drill before his iframes ran out. That's just a heartbreaker.
Taking that extra hit Waiter did, unfortunately, that's not great, because now he's going to have less room for deboosting off of Dust here. I imagine he might just go for it, and if he sucks too much, he'll probably just use an E-Tank for safety, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, wow. Dustman just giving him the business.
Okay, so it looks like he's opting to avoid that E-Tank and just going to ride it out.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Well, that's Dustman.
Well, so much for PB for Waiter. So Dustman will just ruin you.
He's still alright. I think he is still, yeah, it's still possible for him to PB for sure.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Dust does suck.
Dust, it does.
Jerk.
Is low on the, oh, he's short on the ammo.
No.
That's not good.
It's unfortunate.
Well, things are getting a little bit dicey. Especially health, he has to be careful. It looks like he has no E-Tanks. I thought he did have one, but my mistake. Alright, playing it right, so...
There you go.
Let's move on. It is still very much possible for him to PB.
Let's go, Waiter. Finish this strong, my man. Let's go.
Yeah, he could, with really good luck, he can have a 39 3x. I don't think 2x is possible. You can definitely have a 3x.
A 3x or a 4x, and I'd say he's very, very possible. It just really depends on Capsule. Let's hope he can get some double shots here.
Nope.
Get your GGs ready, guys. Let's go. Once again, with good movement through this corridor here. Very nicely done. Big PBs on a finals match, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to close out the, the tournament, huh?
Oh, missed a shot. Oh.
Okay, has to be a little bit careful with the health here. He's got plenty of fair ammo. Just wants to make sure he doesn't take too many hits here.
There it
Oh,
is.
look at
Yes,
that.
he
There it
PB'd.
is.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. GG, Waiter. Wow. That's awesome. Wow.
That's a way to go out.
That's the way to finish this amazing Kalinka Cup matchups. This tournament was just all around awesome. And what a way to finish the tournament out with a PB 39-35 by Waiter. That's awesome.
Winning match. On the winning match, you get the PB and
Right.
You win. Like that's pretty much all the best right there. That's it. It can't get much better.
I would retire from speedrunning at that point. I'd drop the mic, as it were, and be like, "Yep, that's right." That's amazing. We'll see if we can get these guys in here for an interview, maybe.
It looks like RF's decided to call it. He sees that that Waiter's finished it off, and he's thrown in the towel.
GG's RF, man. He put up a good fight. Had an amazing showing in this tournament and did an amazing job in this finals match. And really got to give him props for being a new to this run, just killing it.
No, 100%. I mean, already being 40 flat on a PB. That's impressive for when he's picked up the game. That's a good showing for sure from RF.
All right, and we are joined by our Kalinka Cup champion, and that is Waiter1602. Waiter, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, GG, man.
Oh,
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
That's absolutely amazing job, man.
Wow. Yeah, that was crazy. I can't believe I PB'd like that. That was pretty awesome. It was
Yeah,
like,
what was going through your mind as you were finishing up this round?
I don't know. I honestly, in the earlier races I had in this tournament, I was like super nervous going into all of them, and I don't know what it is. These last couple weeks, I felt way more confident going into it after practice and everything. And I think just knowing that I got to race against a good friend kind of just like made everything a lot more chill in my head, and it kind of just, you know, didn't really bother me too much. I saw that I was in the green and getting a lot of rainbows and stuff, and I was just like, all right, let's do this. I mean, there's not really too many things that I can kill myself on unless I really, really try. So I tried really hard not to kill myself.
Yeah, there's definitely a few points that I saw like throughout the run. Like, obviously, you didn't get the Cossack 4 E-Tank.
Yep.
I'm sure you knew at that point you were on PB pace. So was it more like, I just got to go for it? You know, I just want to get this PB. So, you know, forget about the safeties. Let's just go for it. Or was it just something you just were going to do anyway?
Honestly, it was back and forth. I think I saw myself doing Wily 1 right after I did the long room. I paused and ended up switching over to Pharaoh and recharging it and then switching back, which I know probably wasted me like 5 seconds on that stage. But in my head, I was like, I'm on PB pace. I should totally do this. And I reminded myself like, whoa, I'm in a race. And just recently, I did lose all of my Pharaoh shot in the final boss. So I really didn't want to go through that again. So I kind of just had this like moment of doubt and paused the game. And then after that, once I knew I had all of like my weapons, I was just going to go and refill all of my health when I was doing the refights. And sadly, most of my refights were pretty bad, so I had to take the health like every single time. But that's why I didn't get the E-Tank. I figured I'd just go.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we were talking about this in the broadcast where it's just like, you know, even if like, you know, you're in the lead or, you know, you're in a race or whatever, sometimes just getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that you're not familiar with or trying to like take it safe may just end up backfiring on you. So maybe, I guess, do you feel like more comfortable just going for the strats that you're used to?
Yeah, I mean, I almost was going to switch over to Pharaoh first after the first race, but I was just like, no, I'm going to keep it where it is because I just didn't want to confuse my own strats in my head to go from one thing to another. I've done that before, going in Brightman stage and then pausing right before the spike room and realizing that I'm doing Bright first and I don't have Balloon. So I'm like, I decided against going too crazy, but I did try and add in more smaller jumps in areas where I could die just to save time and stuff. So I did add a little bit more precise jumps in there than I usually would.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about your thought process just heading into this tournament. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you would have liked to be in the Cossack Cup, you know, the top 32, but it didn't work out. But you ended up in the Kalinka Cup tournament. So what was like your mindset throughout the whole thing?
Well, it's very well documented in the first couple races that I was just nervous as ever. I've never really done a competition like this before, or a tournament or brackets or anything like this. I rarely like race Mega Man 4. So it was very, very nerve-wracking, and I decided to go into the Kalinka Cup just because I was one of the people who kind of wanted to have an extra tournament, just because we had so many people going into the main heats. So I figured, you know, if I was going to set it up and we had enough people to do it, that I would just join in. And I mean, 16 people joined, so that was absolutely awesome. So I'm really glad that it turned out the way it did, and I'm glad that over time I got less and less nervous going in. I think my times from each race actually go down slowly, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, you can definitely tell throughout this whole process. You know, I've been watching and commentating this throughout this whole tournament on both Cossack and Kalinka, and you can really tell your progression throughout just this tournament alone, how you felt. You know, you felt more comfortable as it went on. You know, like you said, you were a little nervous there at first, and then now you're getting this PB in the finals match, dude. Yeah, I mean, I got to give my props to you, man. You did an excellent job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I honestly can say I didn't see it in me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think it's really cool to see the tournament kind of end with you PBing there. It's like very fitting for the tournament because I feel like as a whole, like all of the competitors have leveled up their game throughout the course of this tournament.
Yeah, I'm kind of just like blown away that I actually finished it with a PB like that. I think my original was 39.52, so I think I'm not going to do math right now. I'm going to say 17. That's my best guess.
That is a guess.
Oh, good. But yeah, I mean, it kind of like when I was towards the end, I think when I was going into Wiley and I was down about 20 seconds from my PB, I think at that moment I kind of knew at that moment I was just like, I'm probably going to PB this right now because I really don't see my movement going too astray. And I've been playing most like really difficult spots very cautious. So I kind of knew going into Wiley, I was like, this is going to be a really good run. And for me, it's kind of like, yeah, a really nice ending to the Kalinka tournament for me.
Nice.
Awesome. What's next for you? You're the champion. You just got a PB. Are you gonna keep grinding the game? You're gonna take a break?
Well, I'm gonna wait until the parade comes by my house so I can jump on my float. No, I'm just kidding. I probably will play 4 because after that run, I did do a lot of really bad things in that run, and to get a 39-35 in that, I feel like I could easily get like a 38 now. I have a lot more confidence going in with that, but I do want to learn Mega Man 5 and 6. I have been practicing 5, so I mean, kind of everything's up in the air. I want to do some speed runs against Riley in The Little Mermaid. So I mean, the sky's the limit right now.
See, ever the speedrunner, Waiter immediately says for his PB, well, you know, I saw it wasn't that great. I can really improve that here. Guilty as we all are.
Never satisfied.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Iraq, Mad, Mega, you have any more questions for Waiter?
No,
Awesome.
Just congrats, man. Well done.
Thanks again, guys.
Yeah, GG again, man.
Thank you so much, Waiter,
Thank
for
you
taking
guys.
the time
Appreciate
to interview.
it.
And
yeah,
congratulations.
Not a problem. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, with that, I guess that's gonna do it for us then for the Kalinka Cup. There is one more match in the Kalinka Cup. We aren't done. Just because we have the championship match does not mean we're finished. We do have the 3rd place consolation match between Great John and Vinez Prince. So that is going to be happening tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Same start time as this race, just tomorrow. So you know, look forward to that. And we do have Cossack Cup action. So we have the finals that's going to be happening this Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So that is going to be between Prissy and Ohon. Who is going to take that is going to be best of 3, of course. So definitely tune into that if you want to watch Mega Man 4. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us. Iraq, Mad Mega, you got any final thoughts?
I don't. GG's to everybody that played in this Kalinka Cup, and good luck to Vinez and Great. Oh God, man, I can't remember. I had a brain fart. Great John, thank you. Brain fart there. But good luck to you guys, and I'm just so thrilled at how this tournament just went, and it's been so awesome to be a part of. Thank you guys for having me, and thank you for speedrunning throws.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It was super awesome. Glad I was able to be here with you guys, Vet, Darkman. It was a pleasure commentating with you. Thank you for having me. Thanks. Congrats to Waiter for winning, and well done to Resistingframe for coming this far. I think it's worth pointing out, you know, just real quick, is that, you know, RF basically started this Mega Man 4 tournament. He did not have a time in Mega Man 4, and he ended up coming in second in this tournament, which is just super impressive. So you know, just shout outs to him and GG's. You know, that's really impressive. I think it's worth pointing out to everybody, and so I think that's all for me. So thanks, and good night, everybody.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. So once again, I am Darkman78, and with me was Iraq Vet0304 and Mad Mega X381. So thank you for watching, and until next time, we'll see you all later.